You know those moments when a sound or a voice from way back just sneaks into your head and suddenly you're a kid again? Like, out of nowhere, you hear a, "What's up, Doc?" And you're instantly back on the couch, cereal in hand, grinning at the screen. Yeah. Looney Tunes was one of those cartoons. The kind that didn't just make us laugh, it stuck with us. There was something magical about that wild mix of characters. A rabbit too clever for his own good, a duck who just couldn't catch a break, and a whole lineup of chaos wrapped in classic slapstick. These weren't just funny animals, they were part of our Saturday mornings, part of our routines, part of our growing up. So today, let's take a slow stroll down memory lane together. Back to the days of goofy sound effects, witty one-liners, and that playful world where anvils dropped from the sky like it was totally normal. This isn't a review or a history lesson, just a comfy little visit with some old cartoon friends we haven't talked about in a while. You ever have one of those days where the world just feels too serious? And all you really want is to go back to something simple, something silly, something that made you laugh without even trying. For me, that feeling always takes me back to a certain cartoon, the one where nothing made sense, but everything felt perfect. The one where a rabbit could outsmart a hunter, a duck could never quite catch a break, and an anvil could fall out of the sky at any moment, just because. Yeah, I'm talking about Looney Tunes. And if you grew up watching it, you probably remember the same feeling, sitting in front of the TV with the kind of grin that only a cartoon like that could give you. Looney Tunes wasn't just a cartoon, it was its own little universe. A weird, wonderful world where rules didn't really apply the way they do here. Time didn't matter. Physics didn't matter. What mattered was the fun, the mischief, and those wild characters that somehow felt like old friends. It's hard to explain it really, but if you watched it, you know. There was something about that energy, that playful chaos, that made it unforgettable. What I always loved about Looney Tunes was how it didn't try to be anything fancy. It was just pure fun. No big lessons, no serious storylines. Just classic cartoon mischief at its best. The characters didn't need much explanation. You met them and you knew who they were right away. Bugs Bunny, cool, clever, always in control. Daffy Duck, loud, unlucky, and somehow lovable, no matter how many times he lost. Porky Pig, Elmer Fudd, Tweety and Sylvester, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Each one had their own rhythm, their own kind of chaos. And somehow, they all lived in the same world, a world where anything could happen, and usually did. That's what made the cartoon feel so alive. It never felt like you were watching the same thing twice. One moment you'd be in a desert with the coyote setting up another one of his ridiculous traps, and the next you'd be deep in a forest with Elmer Fudd whispering, "Be very quiet." It was a world that moved fast, but never felt rushed. It let you laugh, it let you relax, and it somehow always knew exactly what kind of mood you were in. What stuck with me the most wasn't just the characters, it was the feeling of it all. That light-hearted tone, the sound effects, the way the music danced right alongside the jokes. The timing was perfect. You didn't need to know the plot, you just jumped in and enjoyed the ride. You could miss an episode and it didn't matter. Every short felt like its own little comedy sketch, with its own punchline waiting at the end. I used to love how everything in that world felt like it had personality. Even the background, the hills, the buildings, the roads, they all felt like they were in on the joke. You'd see a safe dangling from a rope or a tunnel painted onto a wall, and you knew something ridiculous was about to happen. And that was the fun of it. The way it invited you in, like, come on, let's see what nonsense we get into this time. And then there were the gadgets. Oh man, those Ask-Yemi gadgets. They were always so over the top and never worked the way they were supposed to. Rockets, roller skates with jet boosters, giant slingshots, trick bones, paint that turned into fake doors. It was like watching a cartoon version of a magician's workshop gone completely off the rails. And yet we loved it. We expected it. In fact, part of the fun was knowing the plan was going to fail and still wanting to see how it played out. But the real magic? It was in the expressions. The little pauses, the glances to the audience, the smirks. Bugs Bunny raising an eyebrow, Daffy losing his temper in slow motion, the coyote holding up a sign that just said, "Yikes," right before he plummeted into a canyon. It was that kind of humor that didn't need words when it just worked. Whether you were 5 years old or 15, there was something timeless about it.
Alright, let me think here. Oh, I got it! What if we attach 1,000,000 balloons to that donkey? And just watch them fly away?
But where would we get 1,000,000 balloons?
Okay, good point.
And honestly, that's probably why it stuck with so many of us. It didn't matter what language you spoke or how old you were. Looney Tunes just made you laugh. And it wasn't mean laughter either. Even when characters were chasing each other or falling off cliffs, it all felt harmless. Like it was all part of the fun. No one ever really got hurt. They just bounced back, dusted themselves off, and did it all again. There was a kind of comfort in that, knowing that no matter how wild things got, everything would be okay in the end. I think what made it so special too was that it didn't try to be cool, and that somehow made it even cooler. It wasn't chasing trends or trying to teach us anything. It just existed in its own zany little pocket of the universe, and we were lucky enough to visit for a while. And that visit stayed with us. Even now, all these years later, I'll still catch myself thinking about those old cartoons. I'll hear a piece of music that sounds like the Looney Tunes orchestra, or someone will say, "That's all folks in passing," and suddenly I'm back there, sitting on the floor, legs crossed, snack in hand, completely absorbed in this world where animals talked, gravity took coffee breaks, and explosions were just part of the daily routine. It's funny how the simplest things stick with you. A goofy voice, a clever line, a moment of silence right before everything explodes. That's what Looney Tunes was made of. Tiny, perfect moments that didn't try too hard, but somehow hit just right. And maybe that's why it still feels good to think about today. Because it reminds us of when things were simpler. When the biggest decision we had to make was which cartoon to watch first.
Looking at me again. I better go. Okay, call me later. Okay, bye.
Friend of yours?
Nope, wrong number. Oh, is there butter in this? I'm not supposed to have butter. I'm allergic to butter. Oh, no wait, it's gluten, not butter. I'm allergic to gluten. No wait, not gluten, pollen. Oh no wait, I love pollen. Is there pollen in this? Can I get some pollen in this? You know what, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really want carrot soup. Actually, maybe just one little taste.
When we laughed without thinking, and when imagination wasn't just encouraged, it was expected. So, if you're here now, listening, maybe you're just like me. Someone who still smiles at the thought of Bugs Bunny chomping on a carrot, or Daffy Duck sputtering with frustration, or Wile E. Coyote standing in midair for just a second too long before falling. Someone who doesn't need to see the exact scene or remember the exact episode. Just hearing the idea of Looney Tunes brings that warm, fuzzy feeling back. And hey, maybe that's the real magic of it. Not the jokes, or the animation, or the catchphrases, but the feeling it left behind. That pure silly joy, that little spark of childhood that still glows when we think about it. So let's keep that spark going, not just by remembering it, but by passing it on, sharing it with new generations, bringing back that laughter and keeping the Looney Tunes spirit alive, not just in cartoons, but in our hearts. After all, that world of wacky adventures, endless chases, and hilarious chaos will always be there, just waiting for us to tune in again.
It's on me. Where do you get all your money? Don't worry about it. Then can I borrow $50? I need a new pair of mole pants. One slice of our pizza. And we'll see just how hot. What are you doing?
And just like that, our little walk down memory lane comes to a close. It's been so nice just sitting here with you, remembering the world of Looney Tunes, the mischief, the laughter, the way those wild little characters somehow became part of our everyday joy growing up. Funny how a simple cartoon can stay with us for so long, isn't it? Maybe it's because it reminded us not to take life too seriously, or maybe it's just the comfort of something silly and familiar when the world feels too big. Either way, I'm really glad we got to share this moment together. And hey, if you've got a favorite memory or a character that always made you laugh, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. No pressure at all, but if you'd like to hang out again sometime, you're always welcome back. Until then, take care of yourself and thanks for being here.